I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Harry Singh, the Technology Director of Human Protocol. Harry, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time to come on.
Thank you for having me, Ashton. It's a pleasure.
You're very welcome. I'd love to kick off our conversation by just hearing a little bit about yourself, how you first got involved in blockchain, your role at Human Protocol, and about Human Protocol, and what are the initiatives that your team is working on?
Sure. That's a very broad question to begin with. Let's see. So yeah, I initially hailed from India. I moved to UK in 2013 to study artificial intelligence and computer science at the University of Edinburgh. Did the whole spiel, 4 years in Edinburgh, beautiful city. Got exposed to a lot of emerging technologies because Edinburgh is such a center, such a hub for the emerging tech especially. Got together with a few friends, the classic story, we were having beer in university. Someone introduced, have you looked at this coin, Ethereum? And I was like, no, but what's the tech behind it? And suddenly it just got really interesting and I took a deep dive there. During my time at university, obviously, worked through quite a few startups, a variety of spaces, be it financial tech, be it energy, be it classic, music apps like Spotify. Back then it was quite small. And then by the time I was graduating, I was like, you know what, I need to do something on my own. Of course, with the exposure to AI and the blockchain side of things as well, I kicked off my own startup called Harjyot. Now it's called Provenance, which initially focused on detecting plagiarism for artists and musicians online and kind of rewarding them using blockchain and AI. Yeah, so that was a nice thing. But that track obviously did not go anywhere because it turns out it's very hard to enforce. So we kind of took the whole tech out and built something that we decided was, we could see was very important for the industry, which is misinformation detection. So Provenance now proudly serves over like 50 different clients, from news channels to independent media outlets, and soon a consumer offering as well, where we detect what could be out of context media placed in a particular news. We do basic fact checking. We try to kind of, take a step beyond it and also evaluate what could be the bias behind this particular piece of misinformation. But obviously that company, luckily for me, ran so well that I decided, okay, it's time for me to take a step back and try new avenues. And I met one of Human's co-founders, and sounded like an interesting project, something different, real application of core blockchain technology, and something I really passionately care about, like the diversification of jobs across the globe and making jobs accessible for everyone. And I was hooked. And so, yeah, I joined Human Protocol back then, which is almost coming to 2 years now. Joined as a software architect. Now I serve as the technology director, where under me, we are managing the product, the core tech, some parts of the technical partnerships, the overall ecosystem development, and even our marketing efforts. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for the background, Harry. And yeah, it is great now with these blockchain organizations, just working with people around the world and around the clock as well. Blockchain never sleeps. So it is very exciting. I would love to dive a little bit more into Human Protocol. And, I know you're the technology director. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the protocol, but also just about the vision of the platform.
Sure. I mean, I'll keep it simple, right? Like, this is my one-line spiel for it. It's that essentially we are building decentralized infrastructure that powers dual-sided marketplaces, where kind of humans and machines can collaborate to solve any fungible task. So now this is a very loaded sentence. So let's take it step by step, right? Like, if you look back at early 2010s, we see that there was an emerging trend, part of economy that wasn't realized before technology could be at a level, and that is dual-sided marketplaces, right? Which means that there is someone probably on this side of the world, on this side of the city, or not even in the near physical space to you, who wants something done. It could be a physical job, or it could be, getting your food delivered, or it could be taking you from one place to the other, or it could be someone designing your logos. Sky's the limit on what the person wants done. And there is someone on the opposite side that can deliver that and can deliver that well. And so you saw platforms like Swiggy, Uber Eats, all these platforms emerge. And these are essentially what dual-sided marketplaces are. So we at Human kind of looked and said, wait, actually there is an abstract level where you can, all these different platforms have something in common. And that is basically a 4-step process. There is a process of job creation. There is a process of matching this job to a particular person who can solve it based on their skills, availability, etc., etc. Then there is the work actually being done and the verification of how this work was done. And then there's obviously the settlements and the person getting the solution, right? And so you abstract it away, and suddenly it turns out you can just create an engine that powers marketplaces like this. So say Uber was being born today, they wouldn't have to go and build out that tech. They would just leverage human protocols to build that platform out, and they could just focus on the business development, really focusing on their domain expertise in the mobility department, focus on the marketing, focus on the PR, and just drive that funnel of getting the users on both sides, and the technology we would handle. Now, why do this in a decentralized way and not a centralized way, right? Why? Because most of these companies are doing it in a centralized manner. Well, for one thing, if you are, say, the driver there or the food delivery person there, these companies, just because of the way they have control over your profile, the centralized manner of control, they can just decide not to pay you out or charge you penalties or really call your work obsolete. And should they be doing that? Should they be the judge to do that? No, right? If you do it in an entirely decentralized, permissionless manner, we as a protocol, that engine, the technology engine, have no say in that part of the process, and it's all governed by multiple actors playing in the system in different parts, be it the oracles, be it the validators, who kind of support and just do that for you. And another example I like to highlight as a work of why it's very interesting is you're in Vietnam or some emerging country. Do you really trust the banking systems to pay you out in time? Or do you trust an automated software system that you can see in front of you to pay you out in time, where you can actually go within a few minutes and go and spend that money that you've earned? So yeah, I think that's the protocol in a nutshell.
Definitely. Great explanation, Harry. And I think you put the nail in the head there on the settlement. Obviously, that's going to be super important. If you have the blockchain there, then you don't have to trust the other party to ensure that they're going to pay you, or they're going to pay you on time, or they're going to pay you enough, or that the service that they actually did it and they said that it was complete. So obviously that's super important. And I really like how you started off the conversation by just saying this is going to open a huge door for so many different, the Uber of this, of that. There's so many service applications that are being built for different industries that are bringing in automation like we've never seen before. This is very fascinating. I would love to know a little bit more about where exactly the team is at with the protocol. Are there already other Uber apps running on the technology right now, or where is your team at with it?
Sure. I mean, we kind of have the initial version of the protocol already running on Ethereum mainnet. So this end-to-end process that I just described to you is live and available on the Ethereum mainnet. Just because of our existing, let's say, domain expertise, we kind of built our own first marketplace on top. So you can call it the Human Protocol Machine Learning Marketplace. And that is thriving with one of our partner projects, HCapture, that utilizes Human Protocol to deliver captures, which not only just stop bots, but also reward users who are actually participating in that process. And that kind of, so you are having one side of the marketplace, so you wonder oh, capture, so what does it serve? What purpose does it serve? Actually, captures are used to train advanced machine learning models somewhere. So we have the suppliers who provide us that image labeling and fine tuning that they want. We are pushing it via capture through the human app on the Ethereum mainnet, where people can solve those captures and earn money in a way. And I mean, we are adding more tools like capture on the ML marketplace called CVAT, which is Intel software. That's coming soon. There's a tool called Inception, which can help with ML text data labeling. But that's going to come quite soon as well. But that's kind of what we try to just build on our own. We also just created something called the Human Grants Program, where we want to go out into the ecosystem, develop that ecosystem and say, okay, if you have an interesting idea, an interesting marketplace model that you want to explore, you have the domain expertise to deliver that, come and apply, and we will give you funding between $50,000 to $250,000, and we'll provide you the technical support, the business expertise, everything, and build on top of human. So hopefully in the very near future, we're going to see a lot of new interesting marketplaces on us.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to that. And speaking about applying, I'm curious on the matching protocol to have somebody fulfill a job. There's probably millions of people around the world that could potentially do that job. Is it just first come, first serve, or is there algorithms and AI that determines, who would be the best person to actually fill this job when they're applying? Like, how does that work?
Sure. I mean, just first come, first serve is not a good business model here, right? It's not a technologically sound solution either. So actually, we use a combination of multiple parameters. Again, not controlled by us. They're third-party actors who run these various oracles that kind of first determine the earners' skill sets, what they are specialized in. And, as they keep on doing the jobs, that skill set levels are adjusted. Then there is other metrics like their availability, their delivery time, the quality of their work, etc., etc. That's kind of evaluated by these external oracles, and then again adjusted per job that they do. And we kind of get a rating system there, where the matching almost becomes stabilized and quite successful. And there's penalties in place, and then there's other things like the amount of HMT, for example, or any other token that you earn through a platform that you hold on, that influences it well. So it's quite a complex system, but no, not first come first serve. And of course, this is machine intelligence coming in as well, really optimizing that matching process.
Definitely. And you were talking about holding tokens there. I know we talked about the settlement, having a decentralized system. I would love to know about the tokens, if there is a human token that will be also involved in whether you hold it or if there's other functionalities in the ecosystem.
Sure. I mean, we do have a human token. It's on Ethereum mainnet. We are kind of diversifying into the first EVM compatible side chains right now, where we have already taken part of that bridge process and etc. And the human token is essentially a utility-oriented token, right? It serves a part in multiple parts of these processes, be it for the various oracles, validators, for settlement. It depends on what the creator and what the earner of the job wants to do. So it's a lot of flexibility. We just recently actually did a coin list raise, which was, I think, if I'm not wrong, the biggest sale by the number of participants or something like this. So yeah, there's a lot of active community members who are very interested in the growth of the human token. And I mean, there's more information on the entire tokenomics on our website already as well. And, our papers are out there. So if you're curious, go and read them. Otherwise, it's going to take the whole amount of time we have here to explain how it plays.
Sounds great, Harry. And you talked about the grants program there. You talked about having accounts where people can build up their reputations and provide services. I was looking at this ambassador program. Are you focused on the ambassadorship, or are you just looking for developers, service providers, everybody to help contribute to the ecosystem?
Sure. I mean, the ambassadors program is kind of our first foray into building those diverse communities that we're looking for, right? Because the earners are just not going to come from, say, even English-speaking countries like, you have the Northern America and you have the Europe. They should ideally come from all over the world. We are Human Protocol. And ambassadors are our first educators, creators, moderators, organizers, and campaigners who are going to penetrate those deeply local, maybe even not English-speaking communities, and really help us reach that kind of a crowd. Apart from the ambassador program as well, we have just recently launched the Dev Bounty program, where we kind of want to build a healthy community of developers who are actively contributing to the Human Protocol's development, features, bugs, and really getting rewarded for it. So, we're utilizing other platforms like Gitcoin, our internal platform as well. Everything's on GitHub. So yeah, it's interesting times, and we see a lot of traffic coming through these channels.
That's great to hear. And maybe you can talk about the roadmap moving forward into 2022. What are the major things that you and your team are looking to deliver out, and what will we see from Human next year?
Sure. I think there's one fundamental thing that we are very hell-bent on, which is demonstrating our utility and actually getting people to work and, create jobs and earn money and all this stuff. So the first foray into this was our Human app, which is kind of your one portal to accessing the Human Protocol as an earner. And you already have, a lot of users coming in and doing different kind of jobs. It's about scaling that on a grand level. Along with this, I think we realized quite early on that, just because we are on the Ethereum mainnet, sometimes it's it's not scalable for a high transaction volume protocol like us. So we are pouring into, deeper partnerships with some of the biggest names, Elrond, Solana, Hedera. There is Polygon coming up, Avalanche, and we're going to just try and distribute this protocol onto as many networks as possible and getting the rewards of that through the Human app to the earners. Another part of this is obviously the ecosystem development. As I said, the ambassador program, the dev bounty program, bug bounty programs are really important to us because we need to reach out to those people and we need to get them actively involved in Human Protocol. We are our foundation at the end of the day, and getting the community to run majority parts of it is kind of our goal. And our focus is going to be a lot on there as well.
Very cool. Thank you for that, Harry. And for those ambassadors and developers and everybody who's interested in contributing or participating, learning more about Human Protocol, what's the best way for them to get involved?
Our website, humanprotocol.org. Go there. There is extensive documentation on, how do you contribute, how do you participate. There's the application process for ambassador program live there. You can go and apply if you are one of those community members who want to build those communities. If you're a developer, there's a dev bounty program. Again, everything is written out there. There's a nice apply here button as well. You can click and start working. And of course, there's the grants program. So if you're an entrepreneur, an organization, or maybe an individual developer with a cool idea in your niche space where you have the domain expertise, go and apply. We'd love to speak to you and get to know you more.
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I will leave all those Human Protocol links in the description box below that you mentioned so people can get involved if they'd like. And all the best. Let's follow up in the near future in 2022, and I'd love to hear more about what your team is working on.
Thank you, Ashton. Yeah, looking forward to it.